Hey, this is Drew. Thanks so much for joining us today for our Discover the Way tool, March. We're going to be looking at what we call the Mission Compass. And so I love this tool. I love it because it takes a really simple concept, the visual here of a compass, and that meaning something that helps us get oriented in the direction we need to go. This takes this concept and helps give us some really practical ways that we can get oriented to what God is doing right in the places where we live and work and play. So this works off of a couple of assumptions. I want you to kind of go with me here. One, we are assuming that God is already at work in the world around us. We don't need to bring God to some place where he's absent. Instead, God is already at work. God is on mission. He is blessing the world and revealing himself to the world and reigning over all creation. He wants to see his kingdom, the kingdom of heaven, come to earth in all these practical ways. And so any of us who are joining God on mission are literally joining God on mission. We're jumping in where he's at work already. So if he's at work already, the question is, how do we discover what he's up to? So what we wanted to do was create a simple tool that can kind of help you get oriented to figure that out. And this is a great tool because in your IDR, you can talk about how you're seeing God at work and what it means for you to join God on mission in the places where you live and work and play. And this gives you a really practical way to go about doing this. So one of the first questions we always get is about these letters and why the compass point points to A. I really want to underline how critical this is. The A here, we call that aiming for awareness. Awareness is the true north of mission, being aware of the presence of God and being aware of your circumstances, the people and the place where you are. The more aware you are of God's presence and the people that are in the spaces where you are sent every day, the easier it's going to become to discern what it means to join God on mission. If you're inaccessible, if you're not paying attention to the Lord, or you're not paying attention to people and places, you're not going to be a great missionary. So that's our true north. We realize all of the other things that we talk about here are going to cultivate in us an awareness. That awareness is going to point us in a direction where we can then join God and what he's doing. So some of these other things that we want to talk about are going to build on this idea. But you have to cultivate an awareness of the presence of God and of the people and the place where you spend your time. Because if you're not aware of people, you're not going to be aware of God's heart and love for them and what God might be doing to draw those people to himself. But let's talk about a couple of these other things and how that helps us discern what God is up to, gives us direction and purpose. B, bless your block. Blessing people is a great way to first just be a part of doing what God does. God is bringing blessing and life into the world. And so as we participate in that, we also get to be a part of what God is doing, but it also gives us an awareness of what God might be doing in another person's life. So you bless someone and that helps you develop a relationship, build a friendship, discover people's stories. It's going to also give you opportunities to discern, is there a next step here where I can join Jesus in what he's already doing in someone's life? So blessing becomes a way that sometimes can open doors for us to, again, become aware of what God is up to and join him in those things. C, connect to a cause. We believe that one of the best ways that you can discover what God is doing with people is to ask them to join you in doing something that makes the world better. And so some of the practical things that we offer here at River Tree, whether that be our habitat partnerships, our partnerships with like Tikva or Refuge of Hope, or any of the places in the community, it doesn't have to be through River Tree. But anytime you connect with something outside of your place and you ask other people to join into that, that will bring to light some opportunities for them to grow, and also for you to have conversations that matter about things that matter in the world. And that can help you, again, cultivate an awareness of what God is up to. D, dig into discipleship. If you're not having intentional discipleship conversations, you're not going to have a good clue as to what God is doing in the people around you. And so be intentional about this process. Be intentional about cultivating real relationships with people, about talking about things that matter, about growing intentionally. If you're not in an IDR, but you're getting these videos, try to start one. Look for someone to dig into discipleship with. The more that you do that, the more you're going to become not only aware of what God is doing in your own life, but what he's doing in and through the lives of other people. And that's going to give you a greater awareness of what God is up to and give you direction and mission. E, experiment with everything. We put this on there because sometimes the best way to discover what God is up to in your world is to just try something that you're not normally doing, to create experiments, to figure it out through literally trying. I believe sometimes in my walk, there's times where God gives me a clear step that I need to make. And there's other times where I just know that I need to grow and I need to try something that I'm not doing to become something I'm currently not. And so whether it's for a short amount of time or a long amount of time, I think the idea of experimenting is great because it names it what it is. It's something we're going to try, and we're going to look at the results of it and see what comes out of it. It's also something you can do by yourself or with other people. And if you experiment and try things as a group, I know like in our Go communities, one of the things we encourage is if you are not aware of what God's doing in your space, like throw a party and see what happens. Invite people and see what comes up. Build relationships. Find ways to catalyze connectedness and just see what comes out of it. All of those kinds of things, those kinds of experiments are actually going to give you direction because they will ultimately lead to the F on our mission compass, which is follow the fruit. If things bear fruit, that's a good sign that God is in them. And so if you are trying something experimentally and it's bearing a lot of fruit, then keep doing it. If it's not, then don't. If you're connected to a cause and it seems to be a dead end or it just seems to not bring life to the people, then don't do it. If you go and you bless someone and it seems like you hit a wall, that's one thing. But if it opens a door, follow the fruit. Let the fruit of what God is doing in the world around you push you forward in mission. It's a good indicator because God is the one who causes the growth. So if you see that growth, run after it. We believe a conversation about this mission compass and your IDR could be really solid because it takes the reflection off of you and helps you look at the world that you're sent to. As people who are a sent people, who are a mission people, we want you to have the important conversations about what God is doing in your own life. That's what the discipleship conversation is centered on. But God is not doing things just for the sake of you, but he's actually placed you out in the world. So let this month's conversations, if you use this tool to have conversation, I pray that it opens you up to start thinking about what God is doing around you. And you know what? If you come to a place where you're like, I don't know what God's doing around me, then that means you need to start with North. Aim for awareness. Spend some time praying. And if you want, we've developed some prayer exercises we would love to connect you with. Let me know. Shoot me an email with the link below. And I'll send you the prayer exercises that we're developing to kind of help people cultivate an awareness of the Spirit of God and the work of God among the people and the places that he's sending us to.